Today, Jeremy Clarkson read the news that he might be cancelled by Amazon and ITV. The speed with which the woke mob came for him was frankly breathtaking and quite baffling. These are not sour grapes from a Jeremy once cancelled himself by ITV. No, I think Clarkson's experience reflects the confusion so many of us feel about what we can now say or not say in a country supposedly built on free speech. Listen, there's no doubt Clarkson's column crossed a line, and having felt the outrage from everyone, including his own daughter, I think his apology showed how personally contrite he was. He got it. And because of that column, he got both barrels too. But that wasn't enough, was it, for today's self-appointed guardians of political correctness? These days, those who shout loudest about tolerance, forgiveness, kindness and understanding tend to do the complete opposite whenever it's time to show some. I'm not defending what Jeremy Clarkson wrote at all. I just don't get why one mistake is to mean automatic cancellation. Listen, we all make errors of judgment, so why isn't apology, atonement and learning from that mistake enough anymore? The different generations have never agreed on anything, let's be honest, and they never will, and perhaps they never should. But we need to debate the things that divide us, I think, without bitterness or fear of being permanently cast aside. Give me an honest opinion, and yes, even someone's honest mistake any day of the week. Now, joining me to discuss just how free our freedom of speech really is are two women never short on opinions. talkTV presenter Julia Hartley-Brewer and broadcaster Marina Purkiss. Marina, let me start with you. I said there, I can't condone in any way what Jeremy Clarkson said, but is it right to cancel him? He made an apology. Why is that not enough in today's environment?
So who cancelled him? This is the question, right? Who cancelled him? It's Amazon and potentially ITV, right? Now, they've cancelled him because he's so toxic that he's not commercially viable for them anymore. So it's not the people, it's not the woke mob, as you describe, cancelling him. He's unfortunately brought this upon himself. He's actually quite toxic. His column in The Sun isn't great. I think those comments were the final nail in the coffin. Don't forget, in 2015, he was suspended from the BBC for allegedly punching a producer because his food was cold, I believe. So there comes a point when it's like, do you know what? You're bad for business.
Is it the woke mob, Jules?
Well, it's fear of the woke mob. That's the thing, isn't it? I think there are lots of different issues here. One is that, you don't have to agree with what someone says or like what someone says to defend their right to say it. Other people were offended. Meghan was offended. Look, what he said, I wouldn't have written it myself. He probably wouldn't have written some of the things that I've written as well. We don't all have to agree with each other. But what he said about Meghan was apparently this about parading through the streets naked and having people shout shame and throw excrement at her. Apparently, this is a very well-known scene from Game of Thrones. I'm not a 14-year-old boy. I wouldn't recognise that. I don't know it. But he probably went over the top on that. But the fact that he apologised privately to Harry and Meghan, an email to Harry on Christmas Day when it came out, and when he read it and realised the backlash, he's apologised publicly in a very full way. And the fact that that's not enough, that tells us everything, because there are different rules for the left and the right. On the left, you can say if you're Joe Brand, you can make a joke about throwing acid in Nigel Farage's face. And it's just a joke, so that's fine. But when someone makes a comment on the right, that's always unacceptable. And apologising is never good enough. As you said just there in your opener, it's never good enough. Apologising will never suffice. Meghan has said she won't accept it, but you have to completely and utterly have your life broken and ruined. You need to be financially ruined. You need to become an unperson. Otherwise, it's not good enough. But the rules are different, because when people on the left call people like J.K. Rowling transphobic bigots and witches, that's fine.
When Jo Brand made those comments about throwing acid, I think she did a disservice to herself and to the left, if she is indeed
Did anyone
left.
try and cancel her? No, they didn't.
But it's not about... It's about whoever decides to cancel her.
Miriam Margolyes said about Boris Johnson, and I was annoyed with Boris Johnson, as everybody who listens to me knows. But she said, I wish he died. The point remains, Miriam Margolyes still gets booked. There are people... I'm not sticking up for Clarkson at all.
She's loved and admired for being so free-spirited.
And being able to F and blind wherever she goes. Is there a discrepancy between left and right? Because it's a very interesting point.
No, I don't think so. And I think her comments, she does get away with it in the way sort of like an old sort of... Maybe
but she's lovable because she's on the left.
No, because she's lovable. She's older and she's a bit cuckoo and she's a bit,
not cuckoo.
She's a bit nutty with it, and I think that's why she gets away with it. And also, dare I say it, because Boris Johnson is someone who a lot of people just despise him.
Oh, so that's okay
because
then.
of what he's done to the country and because he's lied and lied.
That's okay
and because of the
then.
things. No, but come on, it's about being commensurate, right?
No, it's about what it is. It's about whether you agree with the sentiment.
This is a guy who talks about letting the bodies pile high. So, you know, if I don't have a great deal of affection for someone like Boris Johnson, I'm not going to be offended
the left
for what
worried
she
about
says.
words as opposed to worried about, you know, millions of children locked in there.
Sorry, can I jump in? In your opinion, Marina, delighted you're here, and I appreciate it because you do have a different view, and it's important we give that. What's worse? Clarkson saying Meghan be paraded through the streets and being faeces thrown at her, or Joe Brand saying that Nigel Farage should be blinded by acid. By the way, that crime gets you life imprisonment. I don't understand the difference. I'm not sticking up for what Clarkson
here's
said.
What I think is the different thing here. Nigel Farage has his own issues. As far as I'm aware, he doesn't face death threats or what have you.
Yes, he does.
Okay, let's talk about Meghan. Let's talk about Meghan
He
for a
has his
second.
own security because he faces death threats.
Okay, let's talk about Meghan for a second. She has the previous police commissioner or counter-terrorism commissioner actually said she faced real and credible threats to her safety, to her life. And not only don't forget, there is a massive problem with misogyny in this country. A woman dies at the hands of a man every 3 days. That's not a
massive problem with misogyny. That's a terrible crime committed by some men.
Julia, you know that that right-wing media who say how much they hate Meghan, they throw these stories out. They've got people that hate Meghan. There's a whole group of people that hate Meghan. And what he was doing there, it was like a call to arms. He was speaking to them and he was getting them riled up.
He was expressing his, I thought, rather bizarre, visceral hatred of this woman. Lots of people hate people. We know people on the left do it, and that's acceptable because they're allowed to.
West. He said, no, actually, he said he hated her more than Rose West.
Yes, he was saying it was about his feelings towards her.
But this is about... Let me come...
I don't hate Meghan. I think she's a laughable character. I find her hilarious, frankly. And she's going to be hissed by her own petard eventually. We all know that. But we're in this situation where this idea that no one can criticise this particular woman because of other people making death threats, because it's then misogynistic or racist or some other claim. She's done lots of things which should be criticised. I don't understand people hating someone they've not met who's not done...
Can I speak about the apology? Can I just say this? I go back to it and I ask you because I'm interested. Joe Brand apologised. I don't in any way condone, as I started, what Clarkson wrote, but he apologised. The point of this discussion is, why is that not... We've actually got the apology.
It's a non-apology.
Okay, I'll tell you why. Because the first apology came via Twitter, and it came, about 5 days later?
He wrote a personal email.
Can I read it? Can I read it? Can I read it? I'm really sorry, all the way from the balls of my feet to the follicles on my head. This is me putting my hands up. It's mea culpa with bells on.
Is he sorry, or is he sorry that he's possibly fluffed his career?
So let me go back again.
Does it matter what
I think it does matter, actually. Because he wrote that. He felt it, he thought it was right to think it and then right to write it.
But what's the difference with Miriam Margolyes saying, because you justified the fact that she said Boris Johnson should have died of COVID, people don't like Boris Johnson. There's many people that don't like... Meghan Markle. The point of the discussion is, does free speech in this country allow us to say what we want? Or if there is a section of society, you don't like me saying the woke mob, but there is a younger generation, and this is me in most basic terms. I don't give a toss what somebody thinks. Hear me out, right? You could stand in front of me and spout in my face stuff that I would spend a lifetime disagreeing with, but that is your right. But if I, in front of today's young woke generation, say something, not only do they tell me I'm talking crap, right? They tell me I have no place in society and I should be removed from that society because I dare to have a view that isn't theirs. That's the difference. Why can't they have a bloody opinion and why can't I still have an opinion?
You can have your opinion. You're being very extreme now. You can have your opinion.
They tell us to be kind and they're the most unkind people.
As if they're saying that you shouldn't... Of course you're entitled to your opinion, but I think when you have a platform, you need to be responsible with that platform. And Jeremy Clarkson knows the type of people that read the Sun. And I'm sorry, but
who are those type of people?
Do say it out. I will say.
Say it out loud what you're thinking inside. I'd love to know.
I will tell you, people who trust the newspaper to tell them the truth and unfortunately are being lied to. That's who reads that paper.
I think it's such a patronising idea.
It is. The Sun is responsible for so much misinformation. I'll say it.
Marina, you nailed it when you said people are entitled to give their opinions, but because there's always a but now, isn't it?
No, of
you
course.
know what? I
Yes,
will
there
defend
is.
the right of anyone to make a joke about and to say what they think, as long as they are not
Julia, if you
breaking
have
the
a
law,
platform-
threatening violence towards someone.
No.
They should be entitled to say what they think, and then everyone else is entitled to give their opinion about it and say that's rubbish, and here's why it's rubbish. Here's why I'm angry with you. This is what's wrong.
Say you're a kid. Say you're a kid that was getting bullied.
Is punish people and insist that their lives are ruined, their careers are ruined, their finances are ruined, just because we didn't like something they said. There are more people right now apparently upset about what Jeremy Clarkson wrote than about a Metropolitan Police officer who raped women for 20 years. There are more angry messages about a newspaper column. That's insane.
That's purely because...
That's insane.
This is a really bad argument, Julia. That's purely because more people know about the Meghan Markle thing, unfortunately. But of course people will be more angry about the rapist within the Met Police. Of course. It's a really bad argument, I think.
Where I find myself genuinely in this whole debate, and it's about free speech, I just feel there is a part of society now that will tell us that they are going to decide what we can discuss and debate. And if we dare to cross a line that they find unacceptable, right? I mean, you know, my esteemed colleague who's on after me, Piers Morgan, as we know, got cancelled by ITV for daring to criticise Meghan Markle, and she wrote a letter to the boss.
And all he'd said was he doesn't believe a word she said.
No, he can come on talkTV and say, I think she's not telling the truth.
You think that's why he got cancelled? That's not why he got cancelled.
That's literally what she said on air. I don't believe a word she says.
That's not why he got cancelled.
Why did he get cancelled?
I think he got cancelled because it was an endless diatribe from... Let's face it, if a woman behaved like Piers, she'd be labelled as deranged. All that Meghan Markle did was withdraw her friendship
I like you
from
very
him.
much, but I think that you are right when you say there is one rule for... I said it and I'll say it again, I'm going to go to a break. Tell me what you think, I'll tell you what I think, but if you don't like my bloody opinion, do not try and cancel me.
Who's more sinister? Miriam Margolyes saying, I wish he were dead, or Jeremy Clarkson speaking to people who already hate Meghan Markle in a misogynistic culture and telling them to hate her even more?